First up, let's get you the biggest story of the day because fresh protests had broke out in Hyderabad and the old city area, especially last night, and the protests went on overnight over the release of the suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh. Now, hundreds of those protesters hit the street and the police even had to resort to Lathi-Charged as police cars were being vandalized. A police vehicle that was vandalized even as the stir turned bitter and ugly. And once again, Siddharth, we are looking at how Sartan Se Juda slogans were raised amidst the presence of the police.
Absolutely. And the criticism that's been meted out to the Telangana government is the fact that it had wasted absolutely no time in apprehending Mr. T. Raja Singh, who made those provocative remarks. But there's been no action initiated against members of the AIMIM who chanted those Sartan Se Juda slogans, or anyone who was part of that mob that also chanted those slogans. Here's a report that's been sent in by Shomit, our colleague from Hyderabad.
Times now has reached the ground zero. We can clearly see here the visuals of completely getting out of control. However, police trying to take the situation into control. And however, this is a clash going on between the local police who have been deployed, additional forces have been deployed, and also the crowd, because they are not listening, and they are staging protests against the BJP suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh. However, this is at 3 a.m. in the morning, and still the protest is on, and we can clearly see here the protest is intensifying, and the police are trying to take the situation into control. However, this is the situation here. The clash between the police and the local mob can be seen here clearly, and however, they are not in the mood to listen or about to take out call of the protest. However, the clash is going on between the police. They are trying to control the situation this long time, and however, police are trying to speak to them, trying to explain them what exactly happened and what was the how the fight is going on legally. Even they are trying to explain, and this is the situation here, and the slogans are being given against the BJP MLA, suspended BJP MLA, and they are demanding action should be initiated and immediately he should be arrested. You can clearly see here, and the situation is completely getting out of control. Police are trying to take the situation into control, and are trying to explain to the mob. Let us speak to the mob. आप क्यों प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं? क्या हुआ आप? क्या बोला करेंगे?
सर लाठी चार्ज कर दिया वहाँ पर, सबके बराबर मैं भी ठहरा हुआ था वहाँ पर, लाठी चार्ज कर दिया और कुत्ते को मारे, गाड़ी में ले लेकर चले गए.
And across, I'll show you huge police deployment can be seen here. Even all the top officials have been called in. And demand क्या है आपका?
मानना नहीं था. फांसी देना देना फांसी सीधा फांसी पे मार लग गया.
आओ से मेरी बात हो रही थी. So basically, the crowd gathered here are demanding justice, and they wanted BJP MLA the suspended BJP MLA should be arrested immediately.
So you had a look at those ground updates because these were overnight protests that were being raised, and protesters were still out there because there are also certain critics who are pointing out at the selective nature of the crackdown, because they are saying you're acting against some of those few people, especially when the Neta was taken into custody. However, when it comes to those individuals who were raising such a murderous chants, nothing happened against them. No action was initiated against them.
मेरा ये कहना है कि असद ओवैसी और टी राजा और बीजेपी के बीच कोई समझौता है, क्योंकि देश में 2024 के चुनाव के लिए कुछ कम्युनल एपिसेंटर डेवलप किए जा रहे हैं कि जिससे जनता एक कंफ्यूजन में हो और एक दूसरे के खिलाफ नफरत की भावना फैले. समाजवादी पार्टी सिर्फ यही कहना चाहती है पूरे देश की जनता को बीजेपी और एमआईएम जैसी ताकतों की जो ये देश को तोड़ने वाली राजनीति है उसको समझकर इनको परास्त करने की जरूरत है.
Well, Shomit once again joins us on the broadcast for more on what's been happening in Hyderabad now for at least 2 days in a row. Shomit, the TRS and the All India Majlis-e-Ittehadul Muslimin have an informal electoral understanding, and even in the GHMC mayoral elections recently, the AIMM extended support to the TRS nominee. So is that one of the reasons that can be speculated as being responsible for the possible go-slow on the part of the TRS dispensation vis-a-vis any action now against those who were chanting Sartan Se Juda slogans, as well as the AIMM cooperators who were part of those mobs?
So, yes. Your audio is not clear, Somit. We'll just quickly try and reconnect that line. But what Siddharth was saying, just adding to that, because even if you're looking at those murderous chants that are being raised, and this is something very unlike and goes against the very ethos and culture of India, as such kind of chants that were earlier heard in Rajasthan are now being heard in Hyderabad, and many towns and many areas of the city that have been affected by such protests there. We're looking at people hitting the streets, even when it comes to certain so-called social media influencers. They seem to be participating. There are netas from the AIMIM and also a child who was also dragged in to raise such chants without really understanding its meaning. Somit will come back to you with those live updates. In the meantime, let's move on to other stories we're tracking this morning.
Absolutely. Now